Mr. Speaker, I express some disappointment that you have chosen not to select Amendment B, which had the support of 127 members of this House, including the entirety of the DUP, 13 members of the Labour Party, 1 independent to boot, and the rest being Conservative members. It therefore had far more signatures than any other amendment on the order paper, and it had 3 different parties supporting it. So, well, often when you've given guidance on how you select amendments, and we accept that the final decision is yours, you are the referee. But you often said that you look at whether or not the House wants to decide a question, then you look at the number of colleagues who signed an amendment, and then you look at the breadth. So 127, cross-party, and the House clearly wants to decide it. So can I ask for clarification? You made a decision, sir, and we must abide by it. But you have picked Amendment H. Leave out from House to end, and that instructs the Prime Minister to request an extension to the Article 50 period of the European Council in March 2019, sufficient for the purposes of legislating for and conducting a public vote. We thought our amendment was even clearer, but in effect, H does represent a vote this afternoon, in principle, in this House, on whether or not to have a second referendum. Is that interpretation correct?
Well, I'm very happy to respond to the right honourable gentleman. First, let me thank him for his courtesy in raising the matter in the way that he has done. Secondly, what I say to the right honourable gentleman, whom I reminded recently I first came to know 35 years and 6 months ago, is that it is not uncommon for a member of this House to be mightily pleased when his or her amendment is selected, and notably displeased when it is not. I hope the right honourable gentleman, who is an extremely experienced member of this House, whom I greatly respect, will understand when I say that members do have to take the rough with the smooth. The right honourable gentleman was much exercised yesterday about the prospect of an amendment dear to him being able to be voted upon by this House. I selected that amendment, and although there was scope for different interpretations as to whether it conflicted and was incompatible with the verdict on an earlier amendment, I exercised my discretion and allowed that amendment to be put to the House so that the House's will could be tested. That brought a smile to the face of the right honourable gentleman. Today he is disappointed that his amendment, or that of others, but which he supports, has not been chosen. He's perfectly right to say that numbers are a factor, and he simply repeats what is a matter of fact, the range of parties from which its signatories are drawn. The Chair has to make a judgment on a variety of criteria. Numbers are not the only factor. Breadth of support is a factor. This place works on the assumption that the Chair does his or her best to facilitate debate and to allow the House to speak. I have tried to make a fair judgment with a range of different points being canvassed and the opportunity for the House to decide upon them. And finally, what I say to the right honourable gentleman, and I say it with the utmost courtesy as he has treated me in the same way, it is not, in respect of his last point, for the Chair to seek to interpret what the purpose or effect of a particular amendment is. I am not, if I can put it this way, going to put a spin on the matter. The Honourable Lady, the member for Totnes, can speak to her amendment, and others can make their own assessment, and ultimately, if those matters are put to the vote, the House will decide. I have done, I am doing, and I will always do my best to be fair to the miscellany of different points of view represented in this House. I think we should leave it there for now. No, I'm not. Order. Resume your seat. Order. I have given a ruling on the matter which seems to me to be entirely reasonable. The right honourable gentleman made it clear that although he was seeking clarification, he wasn't presuming to argue the toss with the chair, and I think it reasonable in the circumstances, with very significant numbers of members wishing to speak in the debate, that the right honourable gentleman for Aylesbury, the Minister for the Cabinet Office and the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, should be called to move the motion that stands in his name. Mr David Liddington.